Inside the alien citadel, the air felt thicker, scented with sweet, earthy undertones, akin to a deep forest floor after gentle rain. Soft light radiated from filaments woven into the walls, not electric, but seemingly organic. Alex could hardly quell the swirling in his mind. He had so many questions: why they were all female, how they communicated in his tongue, why they spoke of energies. But he sensed that to bombard them with frantic inquiries might be unwise. There was an unspoken tension here. Seraya guided him along a corridor with arches that gracefully rose overhead. Alex took in every detail, his eyes flitting from glyphs etched on the walls to the filaments that glowed like captive fireflies. Ultimately, they reached an oval chamber. At its center, a half-sphere podium pulsed with a gentle, blue light that reminded him of Seraya's skin tone. "Sit," she instructed with a careful motion, pointing to a contoured seat that emerged from the polished floor, shaped to his general proportions, or so it seemed. "We will see to your wounds more thoroughly, and you will learn of our predicament." Her voice softened. "Please, be calm." Alex obeyed, easing himself onto the seat. Some intangible force gently immobilized his arms, though he did not feel threatened. Rather, it felt as though some advanced technology was simply examining him. One of the Lirans, older, with silver streaks running across her azure skin, placed her hand upon a crystal set into the podium. The sphere flared, illuminating the chamber with swirling ribbons of light that coalesced around Alex. He gasped in astonishment. "Incredible," he breathed, feeling a deep hum in the air, as though the building itself were humming in harmony with his breath. He looked to Seraya, whose expression remained solemn. "What is this?" Seraya hesitated, then spoke with measured gravity. "We are gathering your body's signatures, energies, if you will, to better heal your wounds, but also to understand what you are. You see, we Lirans once thrived on this planet, drawing upon the life force within our environment. Yet, for reasons we have not fully comprehended, that life force is diminishing. The vegetation around us shows signs of exhaustion, the soil offers fewer resources, and our young are scarcely born. The entire galaxy speaks of us as huntresses because, out of desperation, we began to collect energy from other species." Alarm flickered through Alex. The legends he had heard, fleeting tales of stunning, blue-skinned women who roamed distant star systems, luring unsuspecting travelers and draining them, had always been dismissed as fables. But here he sat, in the stronghold of those very beings. He felt a prickle of fear. However, Seraya's face betrayed a solemn empathy, as if she anticipated his apprehension. "It is true," she continued quietly, "that we have harvested energies from other sentient beings, but the legends fail to capture why or the cost." She motioned to the silver-streaked elder, who looked upon Alex with sympathy. "We have never found a lasting solution to our plight. Even the planet's glowing foliage is a fraction of what it once was. We are a dying civilization. When your vessel crashed, we recognized a possible opportunity." Alex felt sweat bead on his temples. "Opportunity in what sense?" The elder spoke then, her voice lilting with age and wisdom. "You are human, a species known across some corners of the galaxy for your remarkable resilience and adaptability. We believe that, within your physiology, there may be an essence, a frequency of energy that resonates more strongly with our own, one that may help us break our cycle of desperation. If you would permit us, we hope to study you. Our aim is not to harm, but to survive. Time is running short." A swirl of emotions raged within Alex: pity, concern, suspicion. "And if my energy could help you, then what would become of me?" Seraya inclined her head, her tone tinged with regret. "We cannot say for certain. Harvesting the energies of other beings can weaken them, sometimes fatally. But we are learning. We have developed new processes that may allow us to share your energy more safely, giving you time to recover. Yet, it is still an experiment, one that must be entered willingly, or not at all." Alex swallowed hard, glancing between their expectant faces. There was no overt sign of malice, but the stakes were enormous. He felt a pang of compassion. They appeared sincere, admitting they had caused suffering, yet imploring him for consent. From the corner of his eye, he noticed how some of the younger Lirans carried themselves as though they were almost weightless, their luminous gazes reflecting not predation but weary sorrow. At length, he exhaled. "I'd like to learn more first, if I could," he said. "Let me see how you live, how you survive day to day. I won't make promises, but I will listen." Relief softened Seraya's expression, and she offered him a faint smile. "That is all we ask." Over the following days, Alex's injuries healed slowly, accelerated by the Lirans' curious, energy-based healing. Each night, he was given a private space, a room carved in softly glowing stone, adorned with woven tapestries that changed color with his every step. In the far corner, he discovered a semicircular opening that overlooked the forest beyond. From this vantage, he often found himself gazing at the swirling sky, spangled with exotic stars, pondering his fate. Seraya frequently visited him, providing small pieces of Liran history. Once, she brought him a slender book filled with glyphs and luminous illustrations. Through a subtle telepathic device, she allowed him to perceive images the glyphs described: tall forests of dancing light, the Lirans in harmony, never needing to venture into space to survive. But then, the illusions tinted darker. Vast swathes of land withered, plants losing their glow, entire settlements abandoned as the vital energy ebbed. Over time, the Lirans took to the stars in search of fresh resources, encountering other civilizations and revealing their desperate ability to harvest life force. "It was not a proud era," Seraya murmured, flipping a page to show an image of Liran hunters gathering around an alien captive. Alex noticed the captive's features were contorted in agony. "We had to keep our people alive, but we knew we were crossing a moral boundary. Some Lirans found no fault in it, claiming any means justified our survival. Others, like me, yearned for a solution that might spare others." Alex closed the book softly. "But the galaxy knows you as the alluring huntresses. They fear you, despise you even." Seraya nodded, her gaze lowered. "Yes, and I cannot entirely blame them. Yet, if only they understood, if only we could show them the true extent of our suffering." She trailed off, then looked at him with wistfulness. "Which is why your presence here is momentous. I believe that with you, we might pave a new path, one that avoids the cruelty of the past." Despite her words, Alex felt the weight of caution. Trust was not an easy gift. But as he witnessed the Lirans' daily life, saw how they too labored to grow waning crops, how their children stared at fading lights with wide, anxious eyes, he could not help but sympathize. They were more than predators. They were mothers, daughters, lovers, and explorers, caught in the slow collapse of their world. Still, deep questions nagged him. Why was the planet's energy depleting in the first place? And what exactly did they mean by harvesting from him? Part of him wished to call for help from passing starfreighters, but he suspected none would dare approach this world, for fear of the fearsome Liran reputation. So, he bided his time, waiting for more knowledge, even as he found himself growing closer to Seraya's gentle presence. On the 5th day, Seraya approached him at dusk. Soft, violet light spilled through the archway, dancing across her skin. "Alex," she said quietly, "I would like to show you something beyond these walls, if you feel well enough." He rose from the platform on which he'd been resting. "I do. My ankle is much improved, thanks to your healers. Then follow me." Without further explanation, she led him through corridors and out onto a terrace that overlooked an enormous valley. There, Alex's breath caught in his throat. Beneath the pale glow of twin moons, he saw a landscape littered with ghostly shapes, trees stripped of their luminescence, slumped over as though petrified by time, flowers that had once glowed in riotous color now reduced to transparent shells. It was as though all the vibrant energy had fled, leaving behind a graveyard of once living light. "This is what remains," Seraya said solemnly, "of one of our largest groves, once famed across the cosmos for its dazzling beauty. Generations ago, Lirans danced through those trees under skies of shimmering auroras. Now, we come here to remember what we've lost." Alex felt a pang of deep sadness. He turned to Seraya, noticing how her eyes shone with unshed tears. "I'm sorry," he breathed. "None of this is what I expected to find when I crashed." She forced a sad smile. "Nor I. When I was young, I dreamed of exploring beyond our star system, forging peaceful connections with other species. Instead, We have become exiles in our own galaxy, for it is rumored that none can stand against our energy-harvesting prowess. Sometimes, the rumor alone is enough to make species flee at the sight of us. Alex's mind wandered to the stories he had heard, how entire fleets took evasive maneuvers upon detecting Liran ships. He looked out at the wasteland, uncertain. "So what is it you wish to show me specifically?" he asked. She inclined her head, stepping to the edge of the terrace. "Wait. Look carefully." Suddenly, the barren trees were bathed in a faint luminescence, flickering in tenuous waves. At first, Alex thought it a trick of the moonlight, but soon realized an aura was emanating from Seraya herself, drifting down to the silent forest like silvery mist. The crumbled trunks and petrified flowers stirred briefly, catching that glow. The effect was fleeting, yet breathtaking. For a few precious moments, the landscape regained a glimmer of life, leaves shining with half-forgotten color. Alex stared, transfixed. "You shared some of your own energy, didn't you?" Seraya gave a slow nod. "Yes, we Lirans can give back, though it is limited. For centuries, our efforts have been futile. Our planet's capacity to hold energy has waned. Even now, your presence here suggests we might discover a new means of synergy. Your human frequencies are different, your adaptability remarkable." She extended a hand toward him. "We can attempt a small demonstration, if you are willing. We shall attempt to share energy, both from me and from you, to nourish a tiny corner of this land, and see if life can fully rekindle." His instincts warred with curiosity. Could he trust this procedure? The impetus to help these struggling creatures grew, fanned by empathy. He took a careful step forward. "Show me what you need me to do." A soft light sparkled around her fingers. As Alex gently placed his hand on hers, he felt an odd resonance, like a hum in his bones. Seraya guided him to place his other hand upon a withered trunk. Quietly, she closed her eyes, her brow creasing in concentration. Within heartbeats, Alex sensed a gentle siphoning, yet not painful, just a subtle draining of warmth. But as soon as he felt it leave him, an answering warmth returned. It cycled, from him to Seraya, then from Seraya into the trunk of the tree, and back again. For an instant, it felt exhilarating, a dance of energies swirling through them both, reminiscent of slow, steady music. Then, the trunk shimmered faintly. Tiny, luminous veins spread across its bark, as though life were creeping back in. A hiss of awe slipped from Alex's lips. The tree, once gray and brittle, took on the faint hue of living color. Leaves, shriveled and pallid, began to quiver with the barest glimmer of renewed vibrancy. Though it lasted mere moments, dissolving once Seraya severed the flow of energy, he witnessed potential. "That was incredible," he breathed, feeling slightly winded, but not harmed. Seraya regarded him with a mix of gratitude and sadness. "It shows me there is hope. But do you see now why we speak of synergy? You, a human, channel energy in a particular manner. For centuries, we Lirans have never found a species quite like yours, one whose resonance so closely mirrors ours in a beneficial exchange." He nodded thoughtfully, remembering tales of how humans had survived radiation, extreme temperatures, even mysterious cosmic waves that ravaged other races. "We've long prided ourselves on resilience," Alex said softly. "It may be the key to saving our world," Seraya replied. "But we must proceed carefully. Harvesting your energy in the old ways would only harm you. We must discover how to share it in a balanced manner, so that you survive, even thrive." In that moment, Alex realized how pivotal his presence had become. He had landed, quite literally, in the midst of an alien crisis. And these so-called Huntresses, feared across the galaxy, were counting on him to break their destructive cycle. His mind reeled at the enormity. Yet, as he gazed at Seraya, her luminous, earnest eyes fixed on the few leaves still glowing in the trunk, he found a sense of purpose stirring inside. He might just help them, if he could. Not all the Lirans seemed as hopeful or gentle. Whispers echoed in the corridors, cautionary glances followed Alex's movements. Some regarded him with open suspicion or even hostility. He heard rumors of factions within the tribe, those who supported Seraya's plan for cooperative healing, and those who demanded more aggressive harvesting to ensure survival. One evening, as Alex roamed the halls alone, Attempting to find the library where Seraya had permitted him to study Liran scripts, he was confronted by a stern-faced woman named Dravina. Her features were harsher, her blue skin etched with lines that glowed a dull, simmering violet in the low light. "You must be the human," she said tersely, eyes narrowed in appraisal. Alex paused warily. "I am." She folded her arms, stepping closer. "Be cautious. Seraya is wise, but also idealistic. We cannot afford illusions of peace, not when our entire civilization is moments from collapse. If harvesting you fully means ensuring our children's future, I will not hesitate." His pulse quickened. "I have no desire to be drained," he responded carefully. "I'm trying to help you find another way." A flash of scorn crossed Dravina's face. "We have tried for decades," she hissed. "Seraya thinks you humans are special, that you can save us. Perhaps you can, but should you fail, we will do whatever is necessary." Though her tone sparked anger within him, Alex recognized the desperation behind it. The Lirans he had seen were on the brink, living in half-empty structures amidst a dying ecosystem. Unwilling to offer an argument that might incite violence, he simply said, "I understand your concern, but give Seraya and me a chance. If we succeed, you won't have to take that step." Dravina regarded him in silence, her glowing eyes flickering like dying embers. Then she turned sharply and strode off, leaving him uneasy. He realized that not all Lirans were bound by Seraya's gentle approach. A single misstep might spell doom, not only for him, but possibly for Seraya's entire plan. Despite the tension, a strange bond began to form between Alex and Seraya. Whether it was the shared synergy of their energies or simply the empathy of two people from different worlds striving for mutual understanding, they found themselves drawn to long conversations. On starlit nights, she brought him to vantage points where they could watch the luminescent glimmers in the far horizon, vestiges of a once thriving planet. Her curiosity about Earth was endless. She asked about human history, about Earth's environment, about how humans overcame adversity. Alex spoke of the grandeur of Earth's oceans, the varied climates, the resilience humans found in the face of famine and disease. She listened intently, sometimes smiling in wonder, other times lowering her gaze in quiet thought. Once, as they lingered in a courtyard by a gently flowing fountain, fed by water that shimmered faintly in the glow of overhead orbs, she asked him, "Do you have a mate waiting for you on Earth?" The question caught him off guard. He shook his head. "Not anymore. My family is small, and I left them behind on my trade missions. I never settled down. Too restless, I suppose." Seraya ran her fingertips along the water's surface. "I see. Among Lirans, bonding is a profound affair of energy. We do not do it lightly, though, in recent years, the crisis has overshadowed such unions." A spark passed between them, a fragile moment of unspoken emotion, an awareness that, beneath their differences, they were not so unlike. Both of them bore the weight of uncertain futures, Alex with no way off this planet, and Seraya with the burden of saving her people. Their gazes locked under the pale glow of the fountain lights, and he felt an odd flutter in his chest. "I hope," he said quietly, "that we find a solution that doesn't cost anyone their life." She smiled, an expression of gentle hope. "So do I, Alex. So do I." Several more days passed. Each morning, the Lirans convened in the central chamber to discuss possible methods for safely transferring energy between Alex and the planet's soil, or between Alex and the Lirans themselves. Preliminary tests involved gentle synergy, supervised by the silver-streaked elder, whose knowledge of their ancient methods was unrivaled. At first, they managed minor miracles, reviving a cluster of plants from total dormancy. Then they worked with Liran volunteers, who tentatively siphoned small pulses of Alex's life force, while returning a portion from themselves to him. Alex often felt fatigued afterward, but never to a dangerous extent, and under the elder's watchful eye, he recovered swiftly. Indeed, sometimes he felt a strange exhilaration in the aftermath, as though the energy exchange had cleansed him. Emboldened by initial successes, Seraya proposed a grander experiment, an attempt to infuse a large swathe of the valley with renewed energy, harnessing not just Alex but the synergy of many Lirans in unison. Such a ritual had not been attempted in centuries, and the outcome was far from certain. On the morning of the scheduled trial, Alex stood on a wide stone balcony with Seraya at his side, overlooking the barren valley they had visited before. The sky was painted in swirls of turquoise and rose, the twin suns cresting over the horizon. Below, lines of Liran women formed a concentric pattern around a focal point of dried, dead forest. "Are you ready?" Seraya asked softly. He took a deep breath, nodding. "Let's do this. I just hope we don't regret it." She placed a delicate hand on his chest, over his heart, and closed her eyes. "Remember your breathing," she said. "This is not about force. Let the energy flow." Together, they descended to the valley floor. At the center of the circle, the silver-streaked elder awaited them, arms lifted toward the sky. Lirans began chanting in low, resonant tones, creating an ethereal harmony that echoed off the silent trees. Alex found himself guided to a spot directly across from Seraya, the circle of Lirans enclosing them. The chant rose in volume, and Alex felt that familiar hum in his bones. Slowly, a shimmering aura manifested around him, merging with a teal glow that emanated from Seraya. Threads of energy stretched between them, binding them to each other and, in turn, connecting them to each Liran in the ring. Alex's breath quickened at the sensation, which danced along his nerves like a gentle, electric current. He willed his energy to flow outward, following the rhythmic chant. In his mind, he pictured the lush fields of earth, the resilience of life in every seed, and the determination of his fellow humans to survive. Seraya's gaze locked onto his, her eyes reflecting the swirl of radiance. Together, they channeled, guiding pulses of that shared force into the ground. At first, it was subtle, a faint quivering in the earth, a flicker of returning color in the shriveled leaves. The Liran chant intensified, their voices weaving a tapestry of sound that vibrated through Alex's chest. Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted from the circle, flooding the desolate forest with luminous waves. The withered trunks pulsed with life, leaves stretching out, radiant blossoms opening their petals as though awakened from a centuries-long slumber. Gasps filled the air, and tears shimmered in the eyes of many Lirans. Alex felt a dizzying rush, as though his very essence was entwined with the planet's heartbeat. For a moment, the entire valley glowed with an otherworldly brilliance, an orchestra of color and light. But then, something shifted. A jolt of pain shot through Alex, stealing his breath. He felt the flow of energy reverse abruptly, an unbalanced pull that threatened to drag him under. Seraya cried out, trying to stabilize the connection, but the swirling aura around them darkened to a deep, throbbing blue. He saw Dravina on the far edge of the circle, her eyes fierce, as if she were channeling more than was required. "Stop!" Seraya shouted. "We must not overload him." The elder echoed the command, frantically trying to break the chain. But raw desperation, likely from certain Lirans who wanted more energy, drove the synergy to dangerous levels. Alex's vision blurred, and he felt his life force draining too quickly, like water escaping a shattered vessel. In a final burst of will, Seraya severed the connection. The chanting ceased instantly. Alex collapsed to his knees, gasping for air, while a shockwave of disrupted energy rippled across the valley. Some Liran staggered, and a few cried out in alarm, but the flow halted. The newly revived plants trembled, uncertain, their brief bloom flickering at the edges. Seraya rushed to Alex's side, supporting him before he could topple. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. "Are you all right?" she asked, her voice tremulous. He struggled for breath. I think so," he said, though his entire body tingled with aftershocks. Looking around, he saw that many of the forest's plants had retained some measure of restored life, though the brilliance had dimmed. It was a partial success, overshadowed by the near catastrophe of draining him too far. The silver-streaked elder approached, her brow furrowed in dismay. "We must refine our methods," she said. "We cannot allow such instability." From across the circle, Dravina's expression was unreadable. Alex suspected she was not satisfied with a cautious approach. She wanted more, faster, to save as much of their land as possible. But that greed, no, that desperation, had nearly killed him. Still, the partial success stoked hope. The experiment had revealed the synergy's potential, while also reminding them of the risks. Alex felt Seraya's arm around him, and in that comforting warmth, he found renewed determination. They had glimpsed a better future, if only they could harness it safely. Back at the stronghold, the aftermath was tense. Many Lirans rejoiced at the forest's partial revival, claiming it was proof that Alex's presence could lead them to salvation. Others, hardened by the near failure, demanded more aggressive strategies. Dravina argued that they needed a direct infusion on a massive scale, ignoring Seraya's warnings. In whispered corridors, Alex heard talk of rebellion. Some believed Seraya's gentle approach was too slow, that they should forcibly harvest Alex's energy to revitalize the planet entirely. Consequences be damned. Fear churned in his gut. If such a faction seized power, his fate would be sealed. Caught between competing voices, Seraya called an emergency meeting in the main hall. Every Liran in the stronghold gathered. The air was charged with anticipation. Torches flickered on the walls, casting dancing shadows across anxious faces. Seraya stood at the center, her chin lifted with regal determination. Alex hovered at her flank, uncertain but resolved to stand with her. The silver-streaked elder and Dravina took positions nearby, illustrating the factional divide. Seraya began, her voice steady. We have seen that synergy with Alex can restore life to our world. However, we must proceed with caution. If we drain him too forcefully or too quickly, we risk his life, and we sabotage our own future. Our approach must be delicate, balanced. We must further research safer methods of transfer. Dravina stepped forward, voice resonating with raw emotion. Balanced. That might take months, even years, while the planet continues to die beneath our feet. How many more forests must wither before we act? Alex is but one life. Would you place him above all Lirans? A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. Alex felt a tightening in his stomach. He couldn't begrudge their desperation, yet the prospect of being casually sacrificed chilled him. Seraya glanced at him, her expression protective, before addressing Dravina. I do not place him above our people, Seraya said. But if he dies, do not forget that our greatest hope dies with him. Our synergy is fragile. We must preserve him, or all is lost. The silver-streaked elder, her voice calm, intervened. We have made progress. Each day, our techniques improve. If we hurry, we may undo everything we have achieved. Our planet, too, must acclimate to this new energy flow. But Dravina was resolute. We do not have time for your illusions. There is talk of other worlds refusing our pleas for help. Soon, we will have no resources left. We must act decisively. Around them, the Lirans looked torn. Some nodded grimly, siding with Dravina's urgent stance, while others seemed comforted by Seraya's caution. Alex stood there, mind whirling, wishing he had a solution that would bridge the gap. At last, Seraya set her jaw. I will not allow any forced harvesting of Alex's energy. If you attempt it, you will face me as your enemy. Her tone, so normally placid, now rang with fierce authority. It was enough to quiet the assembly. For a moment, only tense silence reigned, the flicker of torches marking the passage of time. Finally, Dravina glared, her eyes reflecting an inner conflict, then bowed curtly and stormed out, a cluster of disgruntled Lirans following in her wake. Thus, a division solidified, those loyal to Seraya's vision of a symbiotic future, and those willing to risk everything on immediate, forceful draining. Alex, heart heavy, wondered if the Lirans might tear themselves apart before a true solution emerged. That night, Alex could not rest. He wandered the halls aimlessly, passing silent doorways and flickering lights. A strange impulse drew him deeper into the stronghold's lower levels, guided by the faintest hum of energy. After winding through corridors seldom traveled, he came upon a sealed door etched with faintly glowing glyphs. Curiosity piqued, he touched a panel beside the door, and to his surprise, it slid open. Inside, he discovered a laboratory of sorts, rows of crystals suspended in metal frames, coils of luminescent wiring, and large cylindrical chambers filled with swirling, blue-green mist. Approaching one of the cylinders, he peered inside and recoiled. A pallid, unconscious figure floated there, encased in fluid that pulsed with energy. The figure was not Liran. It was an alien from some other world, imprisoned and apparently used for experimentation. Alex's stomach twisted. He had not realized the extent of the Lirans' desperate measures. Perhaps this was part of their ancient legacy, left in place by more ruthless leaders. Apprehension made him step back, but he forced himself to keep looking. Another cylinder contained a lifeless shape, the creature's features contorted in a final expression of terror, as though it had been drained beyond recovery. He felt a surge of nausea, anger, and sorrow. They had not told him of these grisly details, though he should have guessed that a civilization branded as Huntresses would have a dark past. The question was, who continued these experiments now? The facility was still operational, blinking lights and humming equipment giving proof of recent use. You were not meant to find this. The voice behind him made him jump. Whirling, he found himself face to face with the silver-streaked elder. Her features bore a deep weariness, almost shame. She walked over, placing a hand on the glass of one cylinder. This is the final vestige of our darkest days. We keep it sealed, hidden from most. Seraya forbade its use years ago. Yet some come here still, searching for ways to harness energy in ways she would never condone. Alex's anger flared. So there are Lirans who continue to harvest living beings? The elder inclined her head in sorrow. Dravina's faction. They still believe we must rely on the old methods to save ourselves. Their viewpoint is that we are out of time, that moral considerations can wait until we have secured our future. He felt a cold sweat break over him. If Dravina's group was still using these tanks, might they plan to trap him here? They'd do the same to me, wouldn't they? Yes, the elder said softly, if they believed it would succeed. She pressed her lips together. Seraya's visions of a peaceful synergy are our last hope for a better path. It is the only reason we are not all lost to barbarism. You are crucial to that hope, Alex, but that also makes you a target. His fists clenched, and he looked around the shadowed lab, at the pitiful forms suspended in flickering light. This can't go on. We must make the synergy work, he said fiercely. But how do we end this barbaric practice? The elders studied him for a moment, as though measuring his resolve. Then she said, if you truly wish to save both our world and yourself, you must find the missing piece in our synergy, something that stabilizes the transfer so it never overwhelms you and never fully drains us. Seraya believes it lies in the bond between conscious beings, an emotional bridge, not just a physical or energetic one. An emotional bridge, he repeated, recalling how the synergy felt stronger when he and Seraya were in harmony. Indeed, the synergy that almost revived an entire forest required a powerful emotional link. She believes that a deep connection, like love, might be the key to unlocking a safe, reciprocal transfer. His cheeks flushed at the notion, a rush of warmth flooding him. Love? Between a human and an alien? Yet, the more he thought about it, the more something in him stirred, remembering the gentle glances he and Seraya had shared, the closeness of their energies in that moment of synergy. Could it be that the solution was more than technology, that it involved genuine affection? He steeled himself, pushing aside confusion. If that's what it takes to stop this brutality and save your people, I'll try. But I won't let Dravina or anyone else trap me in these tanks, or kill me in the process. The elder's eyes glimmered with approval. We stand on a precipice. You and Seraya must walk it carefully. Do not let the darkness in our history consume you. She gestured to the door. Go, now, before others see you here. Speak to Seraya, tell her what you've discovered, and find a way forward together. Alex nodded, heart pounding. He cast one last look at the imprisoned alien, feeling a pang of helpless anger, then stepped away, determined to take the path of synergy with Seraya, no matter how uncertain it might be. Dawn broke in a hush of lavender skies. Alex found Seraya on a balcony, lost in thought as she gazed over the city's glowing spires. He approached quietly, the memory of that hidden lab burning in his mind. She turned at his footsteps, her face lighting with relief. Alex, she said, her voice soft. I heard about the confrontation last night. Dravina's faction grows bolder. He joined her at the railing, exhaling slowly. I found something worse. The old lab, with creatures still in stasis, being drained. Her expression tightened with sorrow. I suspected some might still be using it, despite my command. This is what I have been trying to end. Sensing her anguish, he placed a hand on her shoulder. We have to make the synergy process stable, Seraya. We can't let them use me the way they used those others. Forcing me, it would become just another horror. and it wouldn't even solve your bigger problem in the long term. She nodded, tears glistening in her luminous eyes. I know, but I fear that if we fail, Dravina will seize the stronghold and complete that atrocity. I cannot protect you alone if the tide of opinion turns fully against me. Taking a slow breath, Alex recalled the elder's words. He spoke carefully. She said the synergy might depend on genuine emotional connection, love, or at least deep empathy. Could that be true? An uncertain laugh escaped Seraya's lips, and she looked at him with a mixture of vulnerability and hope. Our ancient teachings sometimes spoke of it, two hearts beating in tandem, forming a conduit that balanced the flow of life. It was considered legend, or a poetic metaphor. He hesitated, feeling warmth rise in his chest. What if it isn't just legend? I care for you, Seraya. I felt your sorrow, seen your hopes, and there's something in me that wants to protect you and your people. Maybe we can forge that connection. Her cheeks tinted a darker azure, and she lowered her gaze. I have come to care for you as well, Alex. From the moment I found you in the wreck, I felt a resonance unlike any I have known. Yet, I never thought it might be love. Their eyes met, and in that silent exchange, an understanding passed between them. They might not fully comprehend the depth of their feelings, but something powerful burned there, a possibility that transcended their differences. Alex placed his hand gently against her cheek. She leaned into his touch, tears sliding down her face. Then an urgent voice broke the moment. A Liran guard rushed onto the balcony, breathless. My leader, Dravina has assembled a group at the valley. They are taking the synergy stones and preparing for a mass harvest. They mean to summon Alex by force. Seraya's eyes widened. They've gone too far. She looked to Alex, her resolve steeled. We must stop them, or all is lost. Together, they followed the guard through winding corridors, gathering allies, those who believed in Seraya's approach. The silver-streaked elder joined them, her face etched with grim determination. Down the steps and across a narrow bridge they ran, until they emerged into the valley once more. There, they found Dravina's faction forming a wide circle, chanting harshly. The synergy stones glowed with a voracious hunger, as if tuned to capture any life force in range. There he is, Dravina snarled upon seeing Alex. Seize him. A cluster of Lirans rushed forward, but Seraya and her loyalists intercepted them, forming a protective barrier around Alex. Tension crackled in the air, energies swirling in ominous eddies. Dravina pointed accusingly at Seraya. Your caution has doomed us to extinction. We'll do this ourselves. The silver-streaked elder stepped forth. Stop, Dravina. You will kill him. Dravina's eyes gleamed with a desperate fury. So be it. One life, for the future of all Lirans. She raised her arms, and a beam of raw energy speared toward Alex, aimed to pull him into the circle's trap. In that instant, Seraya lunged forward, catching Alex's hand. He felt a surge of her protective energy coil around them. Desperation, fear, and an undercurrent of fierce tenderness flooded him. They clung to each other, hearts pounding in unison. Alex shut his eyes, pushing away panic, focusing on his bond with Seraya, on the love that had blossomed between them against all odds. Suddenly, their combined aura blazed to life, illuminating the valley brighter than any dawn. Dravina's beam fizzled out in the face of that brilliant glow. Lirans on both sides shielded their eyes. A hush spread, followed by a resonant hum that vibrated deep in the planet's core. Alex could feel Seraya's heartbeat, attuned to his own. Their energies merged, balanced, each supporting the other, forging a conduit that reached beyond themselves. Cracks formed in the soil around them, not from destruction, but from an eruption of radiant energy. The once withered land soaked it in, as though starved for nourishment. Across the valley, ancient trees that had only partially revived now stood taller, their leaves drinking in the newfound light. Flowers unfurled in waves of color, and the air thrummed with renewed life. Dravina and her faction watched in awe, their fierce resolve melting into stunned disbelief. They could not deny the magnitude of what was unfolding. Real, sustainable synergy, revitalizing the planet without draining Alex to death. Indeed, Alex felt tired, but not painfully so. This energy transfer flowed in a continuous loop, nurtured by the emotional link he shared with Seraya. For a moment, He glimpsed the planet's deeper essence, as though it were a living soul welcoming a long-lost friend. Then, slowly, the surge eased, leaving the valley glowing under the gentle twin suns. An entire swathe of land, once desolate, now pulsed with new life. The assembled Lirans stared, humbled by what had transpired. Seraya looked at Alex with tears in her eyes, and he nodded, managing a weary smile. Dravina approached warily, her expression torn between anger, shame, and relief. I never believed this was possible, she admitted quietly. Seraya lowered her gaze. All we needed was a chance for true harmony, not forced harvesting. Her voice trembled with residual emotion. Now you see it. The silver-streaked elder stepped forward, placing a hand on Dravina's shoulder. We must learn from this day. Let us all unite behind a process that works and spares innocent lives. There were murmurs of agreement among Dravina's followers, some dropping to their knees, overcome by the significance of the moment. A shimmering hush fell across the valley, broken only by the gentle rustle of vibrant leaves. In the days that followed, the synergy process, guided by Seraya and Alex's bond, spread throughout the Liran city. Other Lirans practiced forging their own emotional connections with one another, with the planet itself, and even with Alex on a smaller scale. Gradually, the planet's battered ecosystem began to mend. Forests regained their glow, crops flourished, and the spires of the stronghold emanated a renewed radiance. The galaxy's terrifying legends of alluring huntresses might one day be replaced by tales of redemption. Though triumphant, there remained a final question. Alex still had the wreckage of his ship, though it was in no shape to fly. Seraya explained that the Lirans possessed hidden starcrafts, used by explorers in the past, but seldom flown in recent years. Despite the success of Synergy, life on Earth beckoned to Alex, his original home. Yet, as his eyes met Seraya's, he wondered if the ties that bound him to her might forever change his destiny. In the culminating ceremony held in the newly revived valley, Seraya stood before him, surrounded by the grateful smiles of her people. Even Dravina, though reserved, inclined her head in respect. The elder raised her arms, calling for quiet. "Alex Donovan," she proclaimed, voice echoing through the luminous grove. "You have given us more than your energy. You have given us hope, love, and a path that does not rely on suffering. Our people owe you a debt that can never be repaid." He looked around, overwhelmed by the gratitude shining in every pair of glowing eyes. His voice trembled with humility. "It was not just me," he said. "Seraya, and all of you, discovered the way. Without your courage in changing your old ways, none of this would have happened." Seraya's expression softened, reflecting the bond that had formed between them. She reached for his hand, lacing her slender fingers through his. "Alex," she said quietly, "the time has come for you to choose. We can prepare a vessel, so you may return to Earth, or wherever you wish. You have a home and a family who might worry for you, and your life is not bound to ours unless you choose it." A swirl of conflicting emotions churned within him. He thought of Earth's skies, the quiet hum of everyday life there, and the possibility of reuniting with distant loved ones. Yet, when his gaze fell upon Seraya, her radiant eyes filled with gentle hope, the transformed forests, the Liran children giggling among the newly revived flowers, his heart squeezed with an unexpected longing. He had found a purpose here, a place where he could make a difference. Moreover, he had found love, something that had eluded him in his restless wanderings. At length, he exhaled slowly and spoke, his words carrying across the assembled throng. "This world is no longer foreign to me. I have come to care deeply for it, and for you," he murmured, turning to Seraya. "If you will have me, I would stay." The crowd erupted in murmurs of approval. Seraya's eyes filled with tears, and she threw her arms around him, her smile radiant. Their embrace signaled a new chapter for the Liran people, and for Alex Donovan, the human who had once crashed here in a swirl of fear and uncertainty. In the weeks that followed, the synergy process was refined and taught throughout the region. No longer would the Lirans need to roam the galaxy, harvesting the energies of others by force. Their once feared reputation began to soften, if slowly, as word spread of a transformation on the planet's surface, rumors of a synergy that did not harm, but instead brought life. Some starfarers, hearing the rumor, dared to approach, and were greeted by curious, open-handed Lirans eager to share the knowledge of peaceful energy exchange. As for Alex, he found himself integral to the planet's new society, working alongside Seraya to ensure that the synergy was extended ethically. Their bond grew, a living example of how two worlds and two hearts could meet in mutual respect, forging a future that neither species would have believed possible. In the hush of a rejuvenated forest, filled with glowing blossoms and the whisper of gentle wind, Alex and Seraya often walked hand in hand. The galaxy that once trembled at the thought of alluring alien huntresses now watched in wonder at the dawn of a new era, ushered in by one intrepid human and the woman who had chosen hope over fear. And so their story ended not in sorrow or isolation, but in promise and unity, a testament to how compassion and perseverance can transform even the darkest legacies into a radiant path forward. The planet thrived once more, vibrant with new energy, the cycle of desperate harvesting broken at last. The Lirans, under Seraya's leadership and Alex's gentle guidance, found redemption and acceptance. The entire galaxy, once dreading the name of these alluring huntresses, gradually opened its heart to the possibility that beyond fear, there can be understanding, and beyond conflict, there can be love. Above it all, Alex chose to remain at Seraya's side, forging a future in which two distant worlds converged, ensuring that neither he nor the Lirans would ever need to fear the darkness again.